Pauper Ravnica Battle Box Deck Tech. Hey everyone, it's VM Campos, Magic Fan. I've got a fun deck tech video for you here. It's a long one, so don't forget to check down on the description down below there for the various chapter stops. This is my Pauper Ravnica Battle Box Deck Tech. As you can see here, I have 10 decks of the 10 Ravnica guilds. There's 60 cards. They're all Pauper. And this is perfect for like a party. Break out a deck, everyone picks the guild that they're into, and you battle each other. It's pretty affordable because it's Pauper. What is Pauper? Basically all of the cards in the deck are commons. No uncommon, rares, mythics, planeswalkers, anything like that. It's all just common cards. That's Pauper. I think they play against each other pretty well. The cards are not too complex, so they're perfect for casual people. If you want to introduce people to Magic, I think this is a cool way for them to understand how Magic works, to look at the mechanic of a particular set, and just to get the lore, the Vorthos of it all. So I'm going to look at each one of these decks individually. Don't forget to check the description to jump to the guild that you'd like, and let's get started. So first off, we'll start with Boros. That's the Zealous Army of Ravnica. This is a red and white aligned guild. So what we've got to start off with is guild lockets. So we've got the Boros locket. It's an artifact, a 3 casting cost artifact that gives you red or white mana. Later on, you can pay 4 Boros mana to sacrifice it and draw 2 cards. So I've got 2 of those for a little bit of mana fixing. Next I've got the Boros Guild Gates, 1 of each of course. Comes into play tapped, gives you red or white mana, so it'll help you cast your Boros spells. First I'll start off with white. Blade Instructor, 3 mana, 3/1 Mentor. So I've got a playset. Now, all of these decks are really cool, kind of easy to put together because they're all commons. You probably have a bunch of these because they're all common, and they're going to be very consistent because they're all going to have a playset of each. So, 3 casting cost Blade Instructor, 3/1 Mentor, it'll make something else stronger when it attacks. Parhelion Patrol, 4 mana, 2/3 Flying Vigilance, I love that. Air power is going to work really well here, plus Mentor, so when it attacks and if there's another creature of power less, it gives it +1/+1. Again, a playset of that. Righteous Blow, let's say you're getting your opponent's attacking you, here's a little bit of removal, 2 damage to attacking or blocking creature. So 4 of those. I don't think you'll need to use all 4, but if you needed to, that's 8 damage to a creature when it's attacking or blocking. So weaken their creature as they attack you, or finish it off if they took the hit. 4 of those. Barging Sergeant. 5 mana, 4/2 haste with Mentor. So it's going to give something else a big old boost, and it'll be right out of the gates ready to attack. Don't stop till your horns come out their back. Ooh, that's brutal. Wojek Bodyguard. This happy little guy is a 3/3 with Mentor, and it can't attack or block alone. So if you've got a Minotaur friend, it'll gladly attack or block. Besides that, it's got Mentor, so of course you want to attack with more creatures. Playset of that. Okay, now we're getting to the multicolored cards. Garrison Sergeant, 5 mana total, 3/3. It gains double strike as long as you control a gate. You have a set of 4 gates, so you've got to have those. And then this is a 3/3 double strike. It does 6 damage. Amazing. 6 damage in a common? Amazing. What's also amazing is a 5/2 for only 4 mana and Mentor, so it makes something else stronger. So as you're seeing here, the Boros Legion is really all about Mentor in this set, so that's what this deck is all about. Okay, more air defense. I love this. 3 mana, 2/2 flying haste. So right away, the Sky Knight Legionnaire is attacking in the air, Nothing can stop it right away. Haste. Beautiful. And then a Fresh-Faced Recruit. Okay, 2-drop, so it's a 1 and a Boros mana, either red or white. 2-1, as long as it's your turn. Fresh-Faced Recruit has first strike. So 2-1 first strike on your turn is great. You'll be able to take out a lot of things. 4 of those. And then we get to the land. So this is no big deal. 1, 2, 3, 9. 1, 2, 3, 9. So just 9 plains, 9 mountains. Then you've got your 4 guild gates, 23 lands, and you're ready. So this is the Boros build, but it's all about the zealous army of Ravnica. Next up, we've got House Dimir, Shadowy Spies and Infiltrators. This is the black and blue aligned guild, so let's check out what they're all about. You're going to see over and over in this deck tech that you have various consistent things. You're going to have the lockets of each of them. So Dimir locket here, one of my favorite arts. And they always give you the mana fixing or crack them, sacrifice them to draw 2 cards. And you're going to see over and over then the guild gates. So you got to have 2 of each of the 2 arts if you're cool. Okay, then each deck is going to focus on like the mechanic introduced in this block. So we've got Barrier of Bones for a single black mana. You get a 0/3 defender. When it enters the battlefield, you surveil. So surveil is look at the top card of your deck. If you like it, leave it there. If you don't, put it in your graveyard. So full playset of that. Partisan Bat, a 3/1 flyer for 4 mana. So a lot of damage in the air, 3/1. That's pretty straightforward. 4 of those little bats. Okay, this is the cruelty of this guild. Never happened. 3 mana. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from that player's graveyard or hand and exile it. So basically, you'll see exactly what they're up to. You can blow that card right out of their hand or get something pesky out of their graveyard. Playset of that, of course. Dazzling Lights, a little bit of creature removal here. At instant speed, 1 blue mana, target creature gets -3/-0 until end of turn. So, oh, you've got your own Partisan Bat coming at me. Now it's a 0/1 coming at me. And I surveil 2. So I can look at the next 2 cards in my deck, decide to keep them or not. Okay, playset. Now here's one of the bigger creatures, Watcher in the Mist, a 3/4 flying, 5 mana. And when it enters, you also surveil 2. So surveil is going to work great in this deck in that you're constantly going to know what's coming up from your library, and you'll always be prepared. 4 of those. Speaking of being prepared, how about an instant where you could choose one or both? Tap target creature. Target creature gets -2/-4. Okay, doing both of these is amazing because you've got, let's say, as the opponent declares combat, well, here you go. Tap one of their creatures, get them out of combat, and then kill the other creature, most likely -4. So whole playset of that. Instant speed. Darkblade Agent. 1 blue and black human assassin, 2/3. As long as you've surveilled, and you should be able to do it pretty often with all of these other cards. Darkblade Agent has Death Touch, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So no one's going to want to block a Death Touch creature, and when they don't, you're going to get to draw a card. And if you surveil, now let's see, what if you have the agent on the field, and then you bring in the 1-drop bones. Okay, you surveil, the Death Touch, don't block this, I draw a card. Beautiful. Notion Rain. I get the sense of like, this is like the Matrix, sort of. Okay, 3 mana sorcery. Surveil 2, then draw 2 cards, then it deals 2 damage to you. 2 damage is nothing for us because we're going to see what's coming up, we're going to surveil, probably triggering the agent, and then draw those 2 cards, so we're ahead of the game. Whispering Agent. Whisper Agent. 1 with 2 Dimir mana, human rogue, 3/2 flash. Okay, flash it in at the end of the opponent's turn so that it's ready to attack on my turn, or flash it in when they're attacking with their creature thinking you have no defenses. Of course you have defenses, you have a human rogue. And then you also surveil. So playset. And then we get to the lands, pretty straightforward. They're all going to be the same. 1, 9, and then 1, 2, 9 basic lands. So that is the Dimir deck. Remember, shadowy spies and infiltrators get the job done. Next up, let's welcome the Golgari, the Resilient Masters of Decay. You've got green and black in this guild. So let's see. Okay, the usual lockets, check. The usual guild gates, check. Okay, here's this particular mechanic. Undergrowth is the star mechanic of Golgari. It has to do with what's in your graveyard. Okay, Mood Mark Painter, 4 mana, 2/3, Undergrowth. When it enters the battlefield, target creature gains Menace and gets +X+0 until end of turn, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. So the more dead things you have in your graveyard, the stronger something else gets. This will get Menace and a big ol' boost once you've got dead things in the graveyard. Okay, well, as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Okay, so you're starting to fill your graveyard for Undergrowth. Gain life equal to the sacrificed creature's toughness. Destroy target creature an opponent controls. So for 2 mana, you can destroy your opponent's creature, you kill your own creature, sacrifice, but then it helps fuel Undergrowth, and you gain the life of the creature, and you destroy their creature. Pretty cool. Playset. Spinal Tap Centipede, 3 mana, Insect, 3/2. When it dies, put a 1/1 counter on a creature you control. Again, the Golgari are masters of life and death. So even this in life, as it serves you as a 3/2, in death, it gives its carapace up to some other creature of yours. Full playset. Crawl Foragers, 5 mana, 4/4 Undergrowth. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life for each creature card in your graveyard. So you get a nice beefy 4/4 plus lots of life if things are dead in your graveyard. Later in the game with 5 mana. Speaking of later in the game, Vigor Spore Worm, 6 mana, 6/4 Undergrowth. When it enters the battlefield, target creature gains Vigilance and gains +X+X until end of turn. So again, once you've got dead things in the graveyard, this Undergrowth will make something else really strong. Plus Vigilant, then you get a 6/4. Amazing. Okay, next up, Erstwhile Trooper. Here's come the multicolored cards. 3 mana, 2/2. Discard a creature card. The trooper gets +2/+2 and gains Trample. You can only do it once per turn, but imagine how huge this would get if it would let you do it multiple times. You got a full playset of that. For only 3 mana, you can have a 4/4. Cool. Rhizome Lurcher, 2/2 for 4 mana. But wait a minute, once you've got more things in your graveyard, this enters the battlefield with +1/+1 counters based on how many dead things you've got in your graveyard. This can get huge. For 4 mana, I don't doubt that you can bring this back as a 6/6, as an 8/8, or better. Undercity Uprising, 4 mana. Creatures you control gain Death Touch until end of turn. Then, target creature you control fights target creature you don't. Okay, this is going to be a great way to take care of your opponent's creatures, because before your combat, you give all your creatures Death Touch, so even your lowly 1/1 is a menace, because then you can select any one of your creatures to deal damage to one of their creatures. They have a 10/10, you've got a 1/1, this gave it Death Touch, their 10/10 is dead. And then you attack with your Horde, and now it's your turn to hide. Pitiless Gorgon. So we've got 1 and 2 Golgari mana for a 2/2 with Death Touch. Okay, so once again, your opponent will hesitate to attack you when you can kill any one of their creatures with our Death Touch Gorgon. Playset, and then we get to the lands as usual. 9 swamps, 9 forests, basic lands right there. So that's the Golgari deck tech, Resilient Masters of Decay for sure. Next up, we've got the Izzet Mad Genius Magical Scientists. Let's see what they've cooked up with their red and blue magic. The usual lockets, okay, we got those. The usual guild gates, these are some pretty guild gates. Now, unfortunately, I hang my head in shame. I don't have 2 of the different art to show you here. I hope you can forgive me. Anyway, Cosmotronic Wave, I love that name. I love that art. 4 mana sorcery. The wave deals 1 damage to each creature your opponent controls. Your opponents control. So if you work in, if you play multiplayer, all of your opponent's creatures get 1 damage. And then creatures your opponents control cannot block this turn. So a little bit of shock and awe in a sorcery. Speaking of shock, how about some direct current? 3 mana, deals 2 damage to any target. So that's creature, player, planeswalker. And then you can bring it back with the flagship mechanic of the Izzet, Jumpstart. You can cast it again for the same casting cost and discard a card from your hand and then exile this card. So a full playset of those, you can do 8 damage, actually 16 damage if you bring them all back via Jumpstart. Fire Urchin. 2 mana, 1/3. Trample. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, it gets +1/+0. So it's sort of like Prowess from other sets. So all you have to do is cast an instant or a sorcery, and this gets +1 and gets bigger and bigger, and it's got Trample so that damage can go through. Cool art. Devious Cover-Up. 4 mana, counter target spell. What would a blue deck be without some counter spells? Okay, 4 casting cost counter spell. If that spell is countered, exile it instead, so get that card out of here permanently. And next, you may shuffle up to 4 target cards from your graveyard into your library. So anything that you've lost to the graveyard, you can bring it back to your library. Anything, any card, amazing. And then you exile their card and you counter it too. Very nice. Muse Drake, I love this little guy. A 1/3 flyer, and then it brings you a card in its talon. All these Drakes are so much fun in this set. And here's the common one, and he still brings you a card. Thank you, Mr. Drake. Okay, this guy makes the deck amazing. Goblin Electromancer. This is a common. 2 mana. Instants and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less. So all of this, the Cosmotronic Wave goes back down to 3 mana. The Direct Current is 2 mana. All of the other things are reduced by 1, and you get a 2/2 body. And if you put multiple of them on the battlefield, they all help you reduce the cost. Beautiful. How about Hypothesizzle? Bring that down. You can bring that down to 2 mana, in theory, if you've got enough Electromancers out. What do you get here? Draw 2 cards, then you may discard a non-land card. When you do, it deals 4 damage to target creature. So you get cards and possible damage, amazing art, and the name that Snoop Dogg would be proud of. Sonic Assault. I've loved this card before, especially in Limited. 3 mana, instant, tap target creature. Sonic Assault deals 2 damage to that creature's controller. So at any point you can tap your opponent's creature and do 2 damage to them, and you can jumpstart it to bring it back. I've won games with this, screwing up their attack and then damaging them. Amazing. Okay, Piston Fist Cyclops. Love this art. 3 mana total, 4/3 defender, so it cannot attack. It's just gonna stay here and punch everything. However, as long as you've cast an instant or sorcery this turn, the Cyclops can attack as though it didn't have defender. So they're gonna have your opponent's gonna see this 4/3 on the battlefield and not think about attacking you. Then you're gonna do damage to them with some direct current, and then you're gonna attack them with 4/3. They will never expect it. It's amazing. And lastly, we get over to the land. So as usual, 9 blue mana sources and 9 mountains. So thank you to the Izzet League and their mad genius magical scientists. Next, we've got the Selsnya Conclave, Keepers and Defenders of Nature. So if you're into white and green spells, this is the perfect deck for you. Let's see, okay. The Lockets, we know that. The Gates, we know those. Devkarin Dissident, 2 mana, 2/2. However, if you have enough mana, 5 more, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So this can get bigger and bigger and bigger, at least a 4/4, maybe even a 6/6 once you've built up a lot of mana. Or if not in the beginning, you've got a 2/2 on turn 2. Okay, turn 3, Generous Stray gives you a 1/2 and brings you a dead lizard. A card. So 4 of these will increase your card draw. On the top end, for 7 mana, we have a 5/5. But wait a minute, now we get to the mechanic that Selsnya really works well with, Convoke. Your creatures can help cast this spell. Each creature you tap while casting this spell will pay for 1 or 1 mana of that creature's color. So if you've got some of these kitties out on the battlefield, you can tap them to help you pay for that green mana. Then you get a 5/5 with Trample. I know that you can get this guy out pretty fast. You don't need the whole 7 mana, trust me. You've got 4 of them. Healer's Hawk. Beautiful little Healer's Hawk, 1/1. Turn 1 play, you get a lifelink Flying Bird. So you'll increase your life pretty fast. And yes, these birds and cats will play with each other. They're friendly. Loxodon Restorer. 6 mana, but you can get to him a lot faster with Convoke. You get a 3/4. And when it enters the battlefield, 4 life. I like that. Centaur Peacemaker. 3 mana in total, 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, you gain more life. As a matter of fact, each player gains 4 life. So this is like a very early play to kind of do some politicking with your opponents. Hey everyone, I'm going to give you some life. Let's all be friends and hang out. And then later after that, you're going to bring out your big creatures and break the peace treaty. Rosemane Centaur, 5 mana, 4/4 Convoke. Vigilance. So a 4/4 that doesn't tap when it attacks is beautiful. And you can get him out pretty fast with Convoke. Full playset, of course. Sumala Woodshaper. 4 mana, 2/1, Elf Druid. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or enchantment from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest at the bottom. There's no enchantments in this deck. It's focused more on creatures, but you'll be able to get a creature as soon as you summon the Woodshaper. So 4 of them. Vernadi Shieldmate, 2 mana for a 2/2 with Vigilance. Love the art on this. It's so on brand with Selsnya. And look at that mace. Do not mess with him. Selsnya's soil is sacred, and you're about to meet it with your face. Oh, snap. Okay, then we get over to the lands. 9 plains, 9 forests. You're ready to go. You're ready to join the Selsnya Conclave and be a keeper and defender of nature. So all of the decks we've looked at so far have come from the Guilds of Ravnica expansion. Now it's time to look at the Ravnica Allegiance counterparts. And first off, we start off with the Azorius Senate, order-loving lawmakers. So if you're into blue and white mana, the Senate is the perfect place for you. Okay, starting off as usual, we've got the lockets, we've got the guild gates. Okay, now, Senate Courier. 3 mana, 1/4. You get a flyer. Plus, then when you pay 1 and a white, the courier gains vigilance. So that's a great defender for only 2 mana. Plus it does a little bit of damage. That's a nice bird. Senate Griffin. 4 mana in total for a 3/2 with flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you scry. So that one is, instead of Surveil, you look at the top card of your library. If you like it, leave it there. If you don't, put it at the bottom. 4 of those. A lot of damage in the air. Chillbringer. This one's amazing. 5 mana, 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls. It does not untap during its controller's next untap step. So you do a little creature removal of your opponent's pesky critter. You get a 3/3. And then they're a little defenseless until later. And this is a flyer. Beautiful. Cool art as well. Azorius Knight Arbiter. 5 mana, 2/5 vigilance. Azorius Knight can't be blocked. So that's an unblockable 2/5. You're definitely doing 2 damage over and over with no downside, because then you have vigilance and it's still there to defend you. Full playset. For some creature removal, Summary Judgment, 2 mana. deals 3 damage to target tapped creature. So as soon as your opponent attacks you, it taps, you do 3 damage to it, probably killing it. Addendum, we have the mechanic that Azorius Senate is focused on, which is if instead of casting this instant on your opponent's turn, you cast it on your turn, more stuff happens. In this case, it deals 5 damage. So okay, you get a little damage, you let them hit you, but then you're going to do 5 back to it with your addendum. Bring to Trial. 3 mana, sorcery, exile, target creature with power of 4 or greater. So when any of these big creatures of your opponent is menacing you, you've got a sorcery to take care of it, no problem. In you go, big guy, watch your head. Love that flavor text. Thought Collapse. Okay, we've got a little bit of blue mage shenanigans here. 3 mana, counter target spell. Its controller puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. So you mill them a little bit, and you stop their spell for 3 mana. Over on the gold cards, La Mage's Binding, 3 mana, flash, enchant creature. It cannot attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. So you remove one of their threats at instant speed. And then you can say, take this clown away, officer. Sphinx's Insight, 4 mana, you draw 2 cards. Nice. Addendum, on your turn instead, you draw the 2 cards and you gain 2 life. Full playset, and then the usual 9 islands, 9 planes, and you're in business. The business of the Azorius Senate, the order-loving lawmakers. Smash, smash, smash! Make way for the Gruul tribes, who are wild anarchists who smash. Okay, well, they've got one of the best lockets. I love this one. It's a little animal skull. In life, it was a cunning survivor, fearless and quick. May its power pass to you as you wear its skull. Gna, Gruul Shaman. I love that. But it does the usual. It fixes your mana. And these guild gates, I love these as well. Beyond this gate, there are no citizens, only predators and prey. Domri Raid. And then the other art, old turf, powerful turf, much good blood spilled here. Barikthar. Again, you don't need a door, it's open, it's out there, but they still have to have it, just for the LOLs, I suppose. Anyway, then we get over to the Saruli Caretaker. This is a single casting cost, green creature, 0/3 with Defender. Tap an untapped creature you control, add 1 mana of any color. So it helps you fix your mana problems by having the other creatures help out. Okay, 4 of those. If you dare venture into the Rubble Belt, you'll find the Runner, 3 mana, 3/3, cannot be blocked by creature tokens. So any of those little pesky tokens that your opponent has, they will step aside for this 3/3 Runner. Gore Clan Wrecker, 4 mana, 2/2 with Riot. Okay, Riot is the Gruul mechanic du jour. This creature enters the battlefield with your choice of a 1/1 counter or haste. So do you suddenly need a 2/2 to attack and finish your opponent, or do you need a 3/3 to help defend? In either case, this also has Menace, so a 2/2 pseudo-unblockable. Amazing. Frenzied Arynx. So 4 mana, 3/3 with Riot. Okay, there you go. Do you want a 3/3 suddenly attacking, or do you want a 4/4? And Trample, so any damage will get through. And then for 6 mana, it gets +3/+0. So later on in the game, you may have enough mana to make this guy really, really scary. Now he's already scary. Look at that. Everyone's getting thrown around like toys. Next, Wrecking Beast, a 6/6 for 7 mana with Riot and Trample. So okay, I will gladly take a 7/7 for 7 mana, or give me a 6/6 with Haste and Trample. Going over to this sorcery, this will help you get to these bigger creatures. 1 green mana, open the gates, search your library for a basic land or gate, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. So you're going to go get more land to do more stuff, more smashing. Goblin Gathering, Magic the Goblin Gathering. 3 mana. Sorcery. Create a number of 1/1 red goblin creature tokens equal to 2 plus the number of cards named Goblin Gathering in your graveyard. The first time you cast this, you have 0, so you get 2 goblins. Once you've got 1 in the graveyard, then you're going to have 2 plus that 1, 3 goblins, plus more, plus more. You've got a full playset, so you're going to get lots of goblins by the time the final one resolves. Rubber-Built Slinger, multicolored card here, 2/3 with reach. So we'll get those pesky flyers with our reaching creature. 4 of those, and 4 Savage Smash. Let's say we can't wait to get to that creature and to take it out. 3 mana, sorcery. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. It then fights target creature you don't. So you're definitely gonna savagely smash your opponent. A Gruul Berserker is never unarmed. Love that art. You really get a sense of the violence. And then we get to some mountains and some forests, 9 of each, and we've got the Gruul tribes that love to smash. Next up, make way for the Orzhov Syndicate, if you know what's good for you. They are the wealthy, manipulative crime lords. They've got a beautiful, opulent locket to help you fix your mana. You've got then their guild gates to help you do the same. Then we've got an Impassioned Orator, a 2/2 for 2, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Okay, so you can build up some life pretty fast with the Orator. He's got a lot of passion. Well, we've got the Imperious Oligarch, 2 mana, 2/1, Vigilance. She's always there for you, even in death, because the Orzhov Syndicate focuses on the afterlife. When a creature dies, it will create more spirit tokens. This one creates 1/1 white and black spirit token with flying. So she will come back to you, and if you've got the Orator out, you gain life for that. Vizkopa Vampire is a 3 casting cost 3/1 with life link. You're going to gain a lot of life really fast with this guy as soon as you start summoning the whole squad. Syndicate Messenger, a 2/3 for 4 mana with flying. Pretty good amount of damage it can take, but then when it dies, it comes back as a spirit token. Okay. Carrion Imp, a 2/3, 4 mana. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile target creature card from a graveyard, and you gain 2 life. So remove some creatures from your opponent's graveyard or your own to eat a little bit and get a little bit of life. This is the most violent art I've ever seen. Look at how he's munching. No scrap of nutrition goes to waste in the Undercity. Alright. Grasping Thrall. 5 mana, 3/3 flying. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to each opponent, and you gain 2 life. So that's pretty great. You get a nice good flyer, life, and then damage to the opponents. Full playset. Final parting. Let's say you've got a variety of creatures to deal with for 2 mana, and either sacrificing one of your creatures or paying 5 life, it's dead, taken care of. So what about if you do that to your own creature? Maybe this is going to die anyway, that your opponent is going to take it out, sacrifice it to the payment, you get the 1/1, and that pesky critter is out of the way. Full playset of that. Undercity's Embrace, 3 mana, target opponent sacrifices a creature. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you gain life. 4 life. So the opponent must make the ultimate decision for you and have one of their creatures killed. And then you gain some life. Grotesque Demise, 3 mana, exile target creature with power 3 or less. So some of their smaller creatures will be exiled, no problem, instant speed. Then we get to the plains and the swamps of the deck, and you've got a great Orzhov deck. All you've got to be able to do is pay those wealthy, manipulative crime lords. Next up, let's welcome the Cult of Rakdos, those sadistic jesters and satirists, if you know what's good for you. This one I think is my favorite locket of all. I just love the style of it and the flavor text. This trinket will gain you admittance to some painfully exclusive gatherings. Exava Blood Witch. No thanks. Now look at this beautiful guild gate as well, and then the back door. Okay. Turn 1 play. I love these, even if they're not amazing, but this one is. You get a 1/1 for any Rakdos mana, and then when it dies, it deals damage to one target. So if they're attacking you with a 2/2, you block it with your 1/1, in its dying breath, 1 damage back to the 2/2, it's dead. Or, if this gets killed any other way, it does damage directly to the opponent. Or any target. How about a Planeswalker? Rakdos Trumpeter, 2 mana, 1/3, Menace. Okay, so it cannot be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Then you pay some mana, 4 mana, and it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So you can make this bigger and bigger and bigger, and with Menace, it'll be really hard to deal with. Full playset. Rakdos Roustabout, 3 mana, 3/2. When it becomes blocked, it deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker that it's attacking. So even if it gets blocked, 1 bit of damage is going to get through. 4 of those. Rafter Demon. Okay, 4 mana, 4/2. However, if you pay the spectacle cost, which happens after the opponent loses life, if you pay slightly higher spectacle cost, each opponent discards a card when you get your demon in play. So mess with their hand a little bit. Blade Juggler, 5 mana, 3/2. However, if you've damaged the opponent first, maybe you've got one of the Floodlight Fiends out there, you only have to pay 3 mana. And when it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to you and you draw a card. More cards, more good. Scorch Mark. 2 mana, instant, deal 2 damage to target creature, and then if it dies, exile it. So after you've softened up the creature in some other way, 2 more damage to exile it, get it out of here. And they get a cool little mark. Okay, Skewer the Critics. This one is like amazing in the format. People cannot get enough of this card. 3 mana, deals 3 damage to any target, creature, opponent, planeswalker. Spectacle cost, if you've done damage first, it's only 1 red mana, like the classic lightning bolt. 4 of these. Well, you're going to be able to trigger Spectacle very easily and consistently with Ill-Gotten Inheritance. I love this card. 4 mana, Enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, IGI deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life. So you're slowly going to build up your life, but better yet, you're damaging everyone and automatically getting Spectacle without even trying. And then lastly, if you need it, for 6 mana, sacrifice IGI, and it deals 4 damage to an opponent and you gain 4 life. Okay, I like that. I like 4 of them. Get to the point. 5 mana, destroy target creature, and then scry 1. So check what's coming next in your library, and you destroy a creature. Okay, and then the lands. 9 swamps, 9 mountains, and we're ready to go to a Cult Rakdos show to be entertained by sadistic jesters and or satirists. And now lastly, but not leastly, we've got the Simic Combine. Boundary-pushing biological engineers. If you like blue and green spells, this is the perfect guild for you. You get the lockets, you get the guild gates, you need to learn how to swim. And once again, I don't have 2 of each to show you. I hang my head in shame. But anyway, the Fairy Duelist. 2 mana, Fairy Rogue, 1/2 flash. So bring it in at the most opportune time, whenever you want. And when it enters the battlefield, target creature and opponent controls gets -2/-0. So suddenly weaken your opponent, or get a creature into the battlefield as soon as you can. 4 of those. Sorrow Form Hybrid, which I swear that they've done the pose of the classic Bigfoot video right here. 2 mana, 2/2. Okay, then you can adapt him. Here's the mechanic for Simic. pay some amount of mana to get some amount of +1 counters one time. Here we get +4/+4, basically, for 6 mana is a 6/6. Perfect for later in the game, and great for early in the game. Aeromunculus, I love this little guy. I wonder how it tastes. Okay, 3 mana, 2/3, flying, and it can adapt for 4 mana +1, so it becomes a 3/4 for 4 mana plus the adapt cost, and beautiful art. That's worth the price of admission. Skitter Eel, 4 mana, 3/3, adapt for 3, adapting 2. So this can become a 5/5 with only 3 more mana, and you get a fish crab. Oh, those wacky Simic. Mammoth Spider, good old Mammoth Spider, 3/5, reach. So pluck out those flyers easily from the air. Scuttle Gator, kind of a lot of mana, 6 in total, but you get a 6/6 defender. And then you pay 8 more mana, and you can turn this into a 9/9, which then can attack. A 9/9 crab, turtle, crocodile. What's not to love? Slimebind, a great way to defend yourself against your opponent's creatures. Some removal here. 2 mana, flash. A creature gets -4/-0. This is amazing. In this format, it really weakens their creatures at instant speed. 4 of those. Growth Spiral, this is the one that everyone wants this card as well, because at instant speed, 2 mana, a green and a blue, you may put a land card from your hand into the battlefield after drawing a card. So you draw a card and you put another land. Mana acceleration at its finest. Okay, full playset. Applied Biomancy, also 2 mana, also instant, choose one or both. Target creature gets +1/+1. Return target creature to its owner's hand. So have them cast their creature again and make your creature stronger. I love it. Instant speed, 4 of those. And then we wrap up with 9 islands and 9 forests. Oh, the wacky Simic, those boundary-pushing biological engineers. Oof, those were a lot of decks. A lot of affordable Pauper decks in a variety of play styles and philosophies. There's one for everyone. These decks are pretty straightforward. They have some interesting, fun things. They focus on the mechanic of every guild. They're perfect for a party, for a big old Magic get-together. I really hope you liked my picks, and they can be upgraded, of course. Put in your own rare and mythic rare and uncommon cards and tell me in the comments. How would you improve the decks? Which was your favorite one? I'd love to know about it. If you like this video or any of my other videos, consider going over to patreon.com/vmcampos and joining up for as little as $1 per month. You help keep me funded, you help keep me going, making new videos all the time in a variety of topics: magic, comic books, technology, snacks. At the $2 range, I'll actually mail you some vintage Magic cards straight from my collection, guaranteed to be at least 20 years old. If you like comics, join at the $2 range and you'll get a comic book from my collection. Or if you can't quite join up at the moment, feel free to still follow me on Patreon because I put a lot of stuff there for free. This has been VM Campos, and I'll see you on Ravnica.